Scooter here, your man on the inside. Here is the latest addition to our instructional videos. Last time we had a how to wet form your sheath video. Now we're going to get into some sharpening. We've had a ton of requests for sharpening videos, so this will be the first in a series. So first thing we should go over is parts of the knife. This will be today's victim for sharpening. This is an older sawmill blade stock bushcrafter of mine. So I've heard different parts of the knives explained as and called different things. This is the way that we refer to things. This is the spine. This is the point or tip. This is the primary edge or grind. This is the secondary edge or the sharpened edge. This is the finger groove. This is the end or butt. And on a bushcraft knife, it's usually round so that you can drill holes in a fireboard, stuff like that. Okay, this knife is sawmill blade stock, 4140, high carbon. Not the highest Rockwell, so it does dull quick in the field, but it also comes back to sharp easily in the field because it's not super hard. All of the knives here at Blind Horse, this secondary edge is convex. So it has a curve to it. A lot of knives are sharpened with a straight edge like this. So if you try to sharpen this with a Lansky or some sort of jigged sharpening system like that with a flat stone on the edge, you have to really kick the angle up so that you're on the very edge, or you're going to be sharpening right here on our curve until you get that flattened out until it conforms to the machine that you're going to use or the sharpening system. But all of our edges are convex. It makes for a stronger edge, a little more metal behind the very edge that's doing the cutting. We prefer it. Even our Scandi ground knives have a micro convexing when we buff the edge. So if you look at a very edge on one of our Scandis, it's ground to zero, but it has a little sharpened convex area right at the very edge. And that's only from buffing. It's not a secondary bevel in the truest sense. So this knife is fairly dull, because I ran it on a hunk of metal over there. Not the greatest. Little catchy, little grabby. It could be a lot worse, but one of the secrets to sharpening is to not let the blade go completely dull. Try and keep an eye on it and sharpen it as you go. I can feel just a hair of an edge left here, but we're going to get a nice burr to it. So the first installment here, we're going to show you how to sharpen on a machine. I know that not everyone has a machine at home like this, but don't need a 2x72 belt sander at home. A small, I think 1x36, something like that, belt sander from Sears, a Craftsman, works just fine. You can get different grits in those belts. Since we're only going to be touching this blade up a little bit, I have a 600 grit belt on the machine right now. So it should be able to get my burr and get me back to where I need to be. One of the little secrets of sharpening is that anything that will dull your blade should sharpen your blade. And by that I mean, if you're cutting with, let's say a really good example is cardboard. If you're cutting cardboard boxes up all day, it'll tear your blade all to heck, make it really dull. Because in that cardboard are very fine abrasives. So you can use that same cardboard almost like a strop and bring that blade back to sharp, as long as you don't let it get too far gone. It's basically what we're doing here. We're using a very slight abrasive, and I'm going to sharpen edge up. I've seen people sharpen edge down. I think you can do it. That's not the way we do it here. We do it edge up. It does not cut the paper. It attacks the edge, makes for a nice sharpened edge. But the first thing we have to do is get that burr back. And I'll try and show you that on the camera, but it's more of a feel thing. I'll try to explain it when we get it. Okay, hard for you to see, I know, but I'm holding the edge of this knife at approximately 23 degrees, thereabouts. We sharpen freehand here. We don't use any jigs or anything like that. And I know that about the half a width of my finger, when I lay that knife on there, I can feel the paper back here is approximately 23 degrees. That's what we shoot for. What you do want to get is the burr, though. And you should be able to take 3 fingers and almost pluck this thing like a guitar string. So the last pass I made was with the right side of the knife facing me, so that's where I want to pluck away from and feel if I have a burr. Now do it on the other side. It might be a little grabby, but it will not feel the same as the side with the burr. That's what you're after. Once you can make that edge, do this. Here's my burr. Once you can go back and forth and move the burr at will, left or right, you know you have it. The very first time you feel the burr, you should go to the other side and move the burr to the other side just so that you know that you have it from tip to the back, sometimes called the plunge line back here. So this whole thing we want to burr. You can see this little kick up here. This knife has been sharpened an awful lot. But she still holds a good edge. Okay, so I've got a burr here, and this is a pretty fine grit. We don't go anything past 600 in this shop. I know that sometimes you can go even more if you're using Waterstones or something like that. 1200 grit, 3000 grit. You can, but for a good serviceable working edge, nothing wrong at all with just going to 600 grit. We are, though, going to go to the buffing wheel and polish this. And mainly I'm going to align the 2 halves, knock the burr off, and polish up the sides. You can see that this edge still has a little bit of a polish to it from last time, but that's what we're going to do one more time. See if you can film right down the very edge, and can you see a very faint white line at the very edge of that? Mainly the lights. If you wiggle this around in the light, you can see that white line. And even if you're using a machine and you come across that paper one last time, you can watch the white line form all the way as you come across the paper. Okay, this is what we use in the shop. These are 2 different hardnesses. This one's a little bit harder than this one. All this is a felt wheel, or a wool felt wheel. And we use polishing compound, just some sort of green rouge, which is the abrasive, which does the polishing, which knocks the metal burr off. You can use these without the rouge, but it works a little faster with, so that's what we do.